Take a plunge into the unknown. Speak up. Speak your mind. Take a risk. Take a chance. Take a walk on the wild side. Back when I was working on my anxiety and depression, as life goes, I was met with certain opportunities. Opportunities to speak up, opportunities to try something new, opportunities to take a chance, opportunities to step out of my comfort zone. And I wanted to run from them all. Oh my God, you have no idea. But I'm glad I didn't, at least not all of them. And I'll tell you this, the time that I took the opportunities, the risk, the time that I left my comfort zone in a big way, to this day, I've never regretted. Even the times where it didn't work out the way I wanted. To this day, not only am I grateful that I took these opportunities, but I cherish these moments and memories. They represent great triumphs in my life. And I know for those with anxiety, this can be scary. This is one of the biggest things. But from my experience, I've learned that to really reach your full potential, in order to make a full turnaround, you're going to need to leave that comfort zone once in a while. For me, actively running from opportunities and avoiding the things that I really want in life ultimately caused more pain and damage than the anxiety that I was trying to avoid. And so there came a point where I decided I would rather have the anxiety, as horrible and as uncomfortable as it is, than continue living the way I've been living. So what do I mean by taking chances, opportunities, risks? Well, I'm not talking about taking risks needlessly and carelessly just for the sheer thrill of it. I'm talking about taking calculated risk for things that you're actually passionate about, for things that you've been thinking about for a while and that you know in your heart could be good for you, but that you've been too afraid to do. In my opinion, those are the things worth taking risks for. Now, you don't have to be forceful with this. You don't have to face all your fears at once. It could be simple, practical things you do to break your unhealthy habits and leave your comfort zone behind. It should be methodical. It should be practical. You can go at a pace that works for you. What I did, because I was dealing at the time with a lot of social anxiety and depression, I did a lot of exposure therapy type risks. I'll give you some examples. Leaving your house for the first time in months. Going out to see some live music, maybe your favorite band perform, if you think you can handle that. It could be going to the gym. It could be getting a job for the first time in years. Maybe it's attending a company outing for the first time, something you've been kind of curious about but you've never done. It could be speaking up more in conversations, especially when you have an important point to make. It could be finally agreeing to meet up with that friend who's been wanting to hang out with you for a while. It could be finally deciding to confide in someone, a friend, a family member, with what you've been struggling with, so you're not going it alone. It could be trying to date for the first time in years. It could be simply deciding to want to work on your issues and coming up with a game plan. For a lot of people, that can feel risky. That can feel like stepping into unknown territory, because it is. Now, some more typical examples of this might be traveling by yourself for the first time, starting a new career, starting a family, giving a speech, starting a business, moving to a new state or country. What's something you want in life? What's something you've been wanting to try? Find a way to make that happen. There's something that happens when you do something despite being terrified of it, despite every thought in your mind telling you not to do it, and you do it anyways. In that moment, you are truly living, my friend. Despite whatever the outcome is, you're doing something great. I remember this time when I asked this girl out. She was the hostess at a sushi restaurant, and as hostesses are, she was very friendly, very talkative with me every time I went there to pick up food. So I thought, you know what? I think I got a chance with her. I think she might like me. Keep in mind, this was a time that I was very actively working on my social anxiety. I was still deep in it, but I was giving myself these little challenges, taking quote unquote risks. However, having said that, this is way beyond anything I had attempted at that time. This was the big leagues. So you can imagine the fear and anxiety I had about doing something like this. The fear of rejection, humiliation, you name it. I had all of it. But I actually did it. I think I asked her if she wanted to get a drink sometime. But unfortunately for me, she said no. I think she said she had a boyfriend at the time. Whether or not that was true, who knows. But one thing I remember was that she was very friendly and polite about it. And even when I went to apologize, and I think I said something like, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable. She was like, oh no, don't even worry about it. She was very nonchalant. And then I realized in that moment, I was like, dude, she probably gets this all the time. You're not the first one to ask her out. And it was a little awkward. I admit. I think I had to wait there for my food for a while still, which looking back is hilarious. And there was definitely a moment driving home that I remember kicking myself for it and saying like, dude, why did you do that? Now you can't go back to that restaurant, etc. But that quickly faded. And that's when it hit me. And I said to myself, man, you are still struggling with social anxiety to a large extent. And you went up to a girl who you basically don't even know, who you think is gorgeous, by the way, which really upped the anxiety for me. Without the aid of alcohol, another big thing for me at the time that I would rely on, in the middle of a restaurant and you asked her out and you were very polite. And so was she actually. In fact, that was actually a pretty cool conversation, man. There was nothing wrong with that. And despite everything you feared about being turned down, it didn't turn into the scene of a movie where you were laughed out the restaurant and you had to run home crying, essentially. Sure, it was a little awkward, but you can survive that. It was worth it. So despite me not getting the outcome that I was hoping for, I walked away from this little event more confident, more empowered, and more happy to be me than ever before. And for someone who was dealing with anxiety and depression at the time, this was huge. Go easy with this process. Really cut yourself some slack. Don't beat yourself up when things don't go as planned. You may have put a ton of effort into something. You may have planned everything out to a T. You may feel you did everything right. And you got your hopes up and you still fell short. And that could be painful, no question. But go easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. I spent many years doing that, and it really takes a toll over time. And if this is your mentality, try looking at the bigger picture and say to yourself, you know what? Today I tried something that a month ago I could have never imagined myself doing. I could have never imagined having the courage to do what I did today. I didn't even think I was capable of trying something like this. And guess what? It didn't work out. But that's okay, because it took guts, it took some courage, and I learned a lot. I learned what not to do and how to go about doing it better the next time around. I learned a lot about myself as well, and most importantly, I know now that I'm capable of trying it again. And hey, when it does work out, man, that is truly one of the best feelings that you can experience, in my opinion. That is a high that you will ride for weeks, months, years, depending on what it is. Confidence through the roof, positive emotion, empowerment, all the good stuff, you name it. But in my opinion, you gain so much from both experiences. So don't be afraid to try. Here's what I'll leave you with. You don't need to take every risk, every opportunity that comes your way. But in my opinion, in order to have growth, to have change, eventually you're going to have to break the pattern. You're going to have to step out of the norm. You can't control your external environment, but you can control your inner environment and how you respond to things. There's a path out there that's waiting for you, that's more exciting, more fulfilling, and more vibrant than anything you can ever imagine. And at any moment, you can decide to take it. Take it easy, my friends.